Ngosi Talk Show's family, it's Namsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice led from within. So I'm on my own today, guys, and I will be talking about rejection. So are you a woman who is in a relationship and you feel rejected by your spouse? Or are you a man who is in a relationship and you feel that your spouse, they've rejected you? So that is the kind of rejection that I will be talking about. In any relationship, rejection can be a very, very painful experience where you date somebody and you feel all alone. You feel like your spouse, they're rejecting you. You feel that they don't want to know you. So I will be talking about that. Let me share the video, guys. Let me share the video with somebody. And you feel all alone, and you feel that you're in a relationship, but you're like, I don't understand what is going on. Why do I feel so alone? Why every time when I try to connect with my spouse, they don't want to know me? And so we're going to talk about that. And you feel like emotionally they've distanced themselves from you. And so I'm going to sit down in a minute, guys. So you feel that your spouse, they've decided to shut down their feelings, and they don't want to connect with you, and you feel like there is a lack of intimacy, and you feel that every time you try to connect with your spouse, they completely dismiss you straight away, and they don't want to connect with you, and you're like wondering, why do I feel this way? Why is my life so like this, and it's so painful? But it doesn't really have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't need to feel doomed. You don't need to feel uh, like you're all alone. You can communicate with your spouse, depending with the agreement that you guys have in a relationship. And overcoming rejection, it can strengthen your bond with your spouse if you really talk to them and explain to them how you're feeling. There are some people in a relationship, they would rather, they would rather go on pretending as everything is okay while things are not okay. They would rather pretend that they are happy. They would rather uh, go to the pub, like they'll go to work. They're working 9 till 5. And when they finish work, they go to the pub. They don't want to come home because the home is not where they feel like they're wanted. Or sometimes or sometimes they will go to work and they will prefer to work late nights because they feel that if I go home, it's not where home is. No, I don't feel at home anymore. You get these feelings where you are like, I want to go home, but what do I go home? Like, you get home and the children are sleeping. You decide to go to the pub, the children are sleeping, and your spouse that you don't get along, that he has rejected you. You feel that rejection because you can't get to them emotionally. You disconnected. You cannot talk to them. So it's actually very, very important to understand your spouse very, very well, to communicate. There are some people when they go through this journey of they go this journey of painful journey in a relationship. They are like, I don't want to confrontation. I rather pretending that everything is okay. The pain will go away someday. My spouse, they wish and they hope that their spouse one day will get up and they will be a changed person. But it doesn't happen on its own. You've got to do the work. If you are somebody who is watching me from LinkedIn, I say hello to you guys. If you're watching me from Twitter, you're watching me from Facebook, I say hello. If you're watching me in all our social media. Just I'm saying hello to you guys. And if you feel that you want to get involved into the conversation, please do feel free to get involved into the conversation. If you feel like I just want to comment on this part, feel free to comment. It's nice to have audience that ask questions, or if they don't ask questions, or if you are a coach out there and you are like watching Nomsa, just feel free to put your comment in the comment section. Feel free to get involved into the conversation. I'm just trying to um, so is very very important. So let's continue with the topic on how do you deal with this rejection when somebody actually rejects you and you feel like, wow, the home is no longer where I feel at home anymore. I just feel like I feel lost. I feel like when I go home, I want to know my spouse. I want to share the stress that I have to go through at work. I want to know her day, but unfortunately, I can't because her emotions, she shut down. She no longer wants to talk to me. I don't understand. So first, you got to understand. Sometimes the people may shut down. They may shut down because of their past. They may shut down completely their feelings because of what they have gone through in the past. Or sometimes they may shut down because they are hating themselves or they are hating in the relationship. Like, let's say, if I'm dating, let's say I'm dating somebody like my spouse, and we are dating, and if I try to have a conversation with him, and if he shuts me up, so that means I will start building walls. Like, I want to communicate with this man, but he does not want to communicate with me. Or the man wants to communicate with me. I'm like, I'm just shut down. You just like I'm in a different world, not in the present moment. And because I'm hurting, maybe because of my past, because of who hurt me back then, that I have not dealt with it. Some people might have hurt me back then and I've not dealt with that issues, and those issues can affect me in my relationship. So if I have not dealt with it, that can cause me to reject my spouse. And if I have not dealt with my childhood attachment, that can uh, hurt my relationship. If I have not dealt with maybe the pain that I had gone through in a relationship. People go through rejection, parents' rejection. They go through family rejection. People go through friends' rejection. You name it, the list goes on. But if I have not dealt with that rejection, that pain, or maybe it's my ex's rejection, I'll take that pain to somebody else. And at first, things will be okay, guys. Things will be okay. Things will be amazing because that person, they just met that person, they were lonely, they don't want to be lonely. They will do their best to make sure that the relationship work. But it may be 2 years later, or a year later, or 3 years later. That's why you see people like, she wasn't like this when we met. He wasn't like this when we met. As he changed, that person is still there. You just need to communicate with that person. But sometimes you might not be able to get through to that person. They might need professional help. Or sometimes you might need to actually communicate with that person, find out what is, without making them wrong. Don't try to make them wrong or make it all about you, like to say, you know what, I feel rejected. Just go into a place where you want to help that person. Just try to find out what is going on with them. Is there anything you can do to help them? Sometimes you may find that there's nothing you can do. to that person. If they decided to shut down, maybe it's because of the pain that they are going through, the pain that they need to deal with. That has nothing to do with you as a person, but that pain can then affect you as a person. So you then have to suggest professional help. Suggest if you and your spouse can get professional help. But unfortunately, men don't do, most of men, like let's say 60%, don't do personal development. They don't do counseling. Nowadays, it's actually things are changing. The world is changing, and you can see some men going for counseling. And I was talking to my friend the other day. She said, "You will be surprised where she works. She works with these people that are recovering from depression." And she said it's mostly men that come out from divorce. They have to leave their homes. They have these big homes, and now they have to leave their homes so the wife can look after the kids, and then go and find another accommodation, which is a smaller accommodation. And that causes stress and depression. They now, because they leave it too late, now they have to seek help because it's affecting mentally, it's affecting them. Women do go through, but nowadays, women, we just want to we want to mingle with personal development. But men are still, they're getting there. So it's very, very important if you see that you feel rejected in your relationship, don't leave it too late because that will affect your business. It will affect your relationship. It will affect your personal life, and it will affect every area of your life. Because if you are not, if you are not present in the present moment, and if you're not okay, so how are you able to go to work and actually do the work and focus and then go home? It destroys you. It changes you. You become like you become something else. Let me put subtitles, guys. I did not put subtitles. You become like something else, which is which is not good for your health, which is not good for your brain. The brain needs to focus. The brain needs to each and every single day. You need to actually you need to do things. You need to work on your intelligence. You need to work on your things. But if your life is not right in your relationship, it affects your relationship. It affects your relationship with businesses, with the personal. It affects you in every area of your life. So it is very, very important to be able to actually understand when things are not going right, that it's not my fault, but let me solve this problem. There are some problems that you cannot solve. The first step, guys, before you can do anything, if you feel all alone in a relationship, because it might not be the person that you're dating, it might be you. So check with you first. First, it is very, very important to check with you, to meditate, to pray. If you are a Christian like me, just pray about your marriage. Pray about your situation and ask God to raise a voice in that situation. And before, what people do is they will go, if the relationship is not working, they will go to the other person and say, you know what? The relationship is not working. And it's all your fault that things are going like this. So because things are going like this, you gotta make sure that you put your act together, because if you don't, I'm gonna leave. Now, what I have done now is I've taken every burden, every problem that we have ever had in our relationship. I'm now put on that problem on one person. So I am now blaming this person. I am now telling this person that in me I'm perfect in every way. So this relationship is not going well because of you. And how do you think this person will feel? They'll feel hurt. They will feel betrayed. But if you communicate the situation and say, listen, uh, the relationship is not working. So do you think is it possible for us to explore different things, for us to actually restore our relationship, rekindle our intimacy life? Maybe the intimacy you're now best friend. In bed, you don't kiss, you go to bed. That's when he says good night. And the poor guy, and he goes to bed. He wants to have sex with his woman, but he can't have sex. And then he decide, okay, I'm gonna make my book my best friend, or he's just gonna go online, watch porno movies, and when he watch porno, and then he feels so alive for that second, and then he does play, you play with yourself, and then you go to bed, and but you still living with this woman that you so love and that you want to kiss, that you want to cuddle, that you want to tell her how much she means to you. And the woman, she can't get her husband to, or her spouse to actually love her, to accept her emotionally. There's no connection anymore, and her best friend becomes the makeup, or becomes the Netflix, or becomes the porno movies. And because you know what, she's like, I feel so alone. The relationship is all messed up and nothing is going well anymore. So there's no communication. But the communication, the easy way now that we're gonna do is I'm gonna watch porno movies. And when I watch porno movies, or I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna find a woman that I'm gonna have it on the side that's creating another problem. And when I find that woman, I'm gonna tell her that I'm married, so I'm just looking for something casual relationship. That is depressing, guys. That is too much problems. And the woman does the same, and she's just gonna go and find that guy over there, and she's just gonna meet this guy and tell, you know what, my husband does not get me, my spouse doesn't get me, so I'm just looking to have fun. And she has sex, she has fun, but when she comes home, she's feeling guilty. It makes things worse. In reality, she thinks she's solving problems. In reality, he thinks he's solving problems. But things get messy. The depression, the spouse, she gets into depression. He gets into depression. And he's like, everything gets messed up. Only if two people could come together and say, honey, you know, I don't know. Would you like to talk? Just communicate with your spouse without blaming them, or without blaming yourself, because problems do come, guys. We live in this world where life is fast. Go to work. I'm the CEO. I expect when you come to work, I expect you to do the work. If you don't do the work, you go home. If the pressure, like even myself, even though I'm the owner of the company, when I get to work, I have to do the work, guys. It's too much stress. The clients are screaming and shouting because their needs have not been met. It's the stress, and then you go home where there is no home. You go home where you have to be all alone. Can you imagine the pain? But then because these two people, they're hurting, they can't communicate now. that one is decided to go and find that thing on the side that is going to make them better, or in the office, this beautiful girl that she comes in, she's so beautiful, she's wearing high heels, my wife is annoying. And then I look at her, I'm like, wow, I like her. And then I tell her, I want to date you, but you know that I'm married, so our relationship is going to be casual. And then if things get messy, now it means at home there's a stagnation. There is this. Some people say when they have an affairs, it helps them to build the relationship. But to me, guys, I don't think so. It's problems. It creates problems because there is no way you can make it the other woman happy and you make the other man happy and then come home and pretend is the guilty that shuts down those feelings. Is the guilty where when your husband comes to you, they're being nice. Some relationship get destroyed by affairs. The husband is so nice, but you know what? He can't satisfy me in bed because I can't communicate with him, tell him how I want him to, how I want him to save me as a man. She can't satisfy her husband because her husband cannot communicate with her and be honest and say, honey, this is how I like it. Oh, honey, this is how I like my food cooked. This is how I like this. This is how I liked this. No, they can't communicate. The easy way, guys, is for me to go and have an affair that I'm going to be happy. That's depression. There is no happiness. Because the more you have an affair, the more this one wants you more of you, the more this one becomes nice, the more the guilty conscience. That person feels guilty, and then they end up confess, and then the relationship is destroyed. So the best way, if you feel all alone, you feel rejection, you just have to take a stand and say, you know what, I love my wife. I love my spouse, my partner. I love them with all my heart. And I am willing to actually make things work in our relationship. So what I am going to do is I'm going to communicate with my spouse. If they refuse to communicate with you guys, that this is when you have to know that you are with the wrong spouse. If that person refuses to acknowledge the pain that you are going through, if they refuse to acknowledge, what you're going through in that relationship, it means they don't want to be there. Because if they truly, truly, truly want to be in the relationship, they will want to listen to you and they want to make things work. But if it happens that they are not willing to work on that relationship. So the question now that you need to ask yourself, why am I staying in this relationship? And then first you have to go through healing. And once you go through healing, if you're still feeling the same, if you're still feeling the same with that person, they shut down, they don't want to communicate, there is no way that you can stay in a relationship with somebody and be happy if they don't want to be with you. If I'm in a relationship, my spouse comes in, I'm in a relationship, by the way, guys, I don't want to talk about myself. So let's say I'm in a relationship and my spouse comes in and say, honey, I'm not happy. First thing that I would do is I will stop everything that I'm doing. I want to know why they are not happy. How can I serve them better in order for them to feel valued in a relationship? How can I serve you, my king, moving forward if you feel that I know I cannot fulfill you? As a woman, a man has his own needs that he needs to fulfill himself, which is self-love and self-care. He needs to care for himself. Me, I'm just there to share my world with this guy. And I share my world with my man. My world is not perfect. But I'm just there to show him that, you know what, this is my world. In my world, I sing, I love music. I sing in my world, I dance my own song. In my world, I I sing my own, I dance my own dance, I sing my own song, I go to choir, I have my own business. Honey, you can just walk with me in this path. It's not easy. It's very, very challenging. Sometimes it can be really, really stressful. That's my world. But at the same time, I want you to walk with me. I want you to get to know me and save me. I want to save you, and I want you to save me. How do I need to be saved? This is where I need to communicate with my spouse, honestly, and tell him, honey, this is how, this is my love language. Save me. If you save me like this, all is sorted. Happiness, you cannot give me happiness. The happiness that comes from within me. And then I have to share happiness. I have to receive the happiness that you have, that you want to share with me. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to receive that happiness. Just receive, share, let him share his love for you. And fights will come in a relationship. It does not mean that your relationship is not right. And the other thing, don't go on social media. Compare your relationship with somebody else. Never ever do that. So painful when you actually compare your spouse with somebody else. When you actually go on Facebook and watch somebody going on holiday and you wonder, why am I going on holiday? My friends, they go on holiday all the time, but I don't get to go on holiday with my spouse. And then now your spouse becomes the bad guy. The relationship are different. How we run it is different. Some people go on holiday 10 times a year. Some people go on holiday 9 times a year, say 8 times a year, some 7 times, some 8 times, some 9 times, 7 times, 6 times. Some they go on a holiday 5 times a year. Some they go on a holiday 4 times a year. Some they go on a holiday 3 times a year. Some they go on a holiday 2 times a year. Some go on a holiday 1 time a year. Some don't go on a holiday because they cannot afford holiday. Does it mean their relationship is not right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's perfect. The way is their lifestyle that they have chosen to live is their lifestyle. So they need to cherish. You need to cherish that life that God has given you in that moment. God, I'm so grateful that I am breathing. I get to breathe every single day. I get to look at my spouse. I get to tell them how much she means to me, how much he means to me. I get to look at my children. I got to tell my children how much they mean to me. Oh, God, I love you. My wife, I love you. My partner, my spouse, my whatever, I love you. You know, my life being with you. I feel fulfilled. Not to go on Facebook and start comparing your marriage. And then when you start comparing your marriage because your friends have gone and buy a nice car and you can't afford that nice car, and now you are like, oh, asking your wife when is she going back to work because she's she's looking after the kids. When is she gonna go back to work? And then now because the lifestyle now is affected, guys, be satisfied with what you have in your life. That's why we have people that are living average life. We have this one, we have different lifestyles in life, is because of the life that we choose. It's because of the lifestyle that we choose to live. But it does not mean that that lifestyle is not right. So if you are living your life and rejecting your spouse, because you feel that they could do more for you. Live in the present moment. Cherish every moment that you have. And never, if you're feeling rejected, don't ignore the feelings. Is we all have the right to feel how we feel. Don't ignore them, because when you ignore the pain, it's sickness. Don't ignore the pain. If you're going through that pain, you feel like I'm rejected, do not ignore it, and hoping that is going to get better. Don't ignore it. I told you my story, guys, that when my relationship fell apart, I split up with my ex, and then the next thing, I'm a Christian. I go to MFM Church, Dr. Olukoya. Those who knows MFM, you know MFM. We bind, we like we can fight Lucifer. We can fight anything. So here is me. I told you guys my story before. I'm like praying to God, and God goes, no, sir, will you shut up? Sometimes the things that makes us feel rejected is the small things that we take for granted. Imagine if you were with your spouse, how much does the coffee cost? If you go to the shop, you can buy hot chocolate from the shop, like supermarket, you can buy a hot chocolate. You can buy the machine if you can't afford it. You can buy the machine. You can buy uh, like things you can learn to bake online now on YouTube. You can learn to do anything. Imagine you and your spouse. Okay, we can't afford to go out, but we can bring the restaurant to us or to the kitchen, guys. You and your spouse start cooking. Learn to cook together. If you already know how to cook, learn even more recipes just to be together. You don't need to go and spend thousands and thousands of pounds if you can't afford it. But you can still find ways. Everything is an effort. And you'll find people that have money, but they don't talk to each other in a relationship. They can afford it to go out. Oh, no, they can't stand each other. When they go out, they're like, they eat each other. They want to eat each other. That's taking life for granted. But when these people started working together, they put their blood sweat. The idea for them to build this life, or their millionaires to build this lifestyle, it was the idea of them to live a life that freedom, to be free. Whenever they wanted to go on holiday, whenever they want, to buy anything whenever they want. But that freedom became a curse, because as human, we take each other for granted. We forget where we've been, and then we forget where we are going. See, the man meets a woman, a man has nothing. The woman has nothing. But they both have one thing in common. They have a destiny, they have a journey, goals that they want to accomplish. They are both intelligent, and they are both will do whatever it takes to get to where they need to be. And they both love each other. They make vows. They make vows and they get married. I don't like the part of getting married, guys, where you make a vows and you say it for better, for worse, say nice stuff. In my church, we don't do that, for better and for worse. We do that part, and that is in the scripture. But we don't do these vows where it says through sickness, through what? When I'm marrying my spouse, I don't expect any sickness. But I already know that through God, I have to stand by my spouse. So there's a part where we don't say it through sickness and death. We don't say that part because God is already taken that sickness for us. So that we say it, but in a positive way. So and then they get married. These people have goals that they want to accomplish. Together, they are Romeo and Juliet. You know, when you watch Romeo and Juliet, the love is real. They love each other. They build empire. That empire creates a curse in their relationship because the focus is they they forget about the things that they go through in life, how they've been able to reach those goals, the challenges they have to go through. So now they have this money, they don't know what to do with it, you know. They've worked together, they've worked really, really hard. Every day is about accomplishing goals. They want to accomplish goals in the relationship, they reject each other. But then you have these people that, they know what life is, the meaning of life. They work hard together, husband and wife, spouse, they're not married, they don't care, they work together. They embrace the gratitude. They look at each other and they're like, you know what? I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her. And for those reasons, I'm going to love and cherish my wife. I would not be here today if it wasn't for him. And for those reasons, I am going to cherish the man that stood by me through tough times. And they decided to go completely the right way. And they decided to sing their song when they cry. When the other one is sick, they hold hands. When the business is not going well, they have no time to blame each other. They hold each other's hand through tough times. That they walked together through painful times. But you get these ones that take life for granted. They're like, I don't want to know her love language. You know, you wanted to get married. I married you. You wanted to have children. I gave you children. What more do you want? You want the piece of me? And now the relationship gets shut down and the feelings are shut down. And now the relationship is no longer a home. There's two people living together as brothers and sisters, living together as best friend, as enemies even. The guy has to go to the pub and then he has to drink himself to death. So when he gets home, the wife is in bed and the wife has to take overtime and work night shift because when you get home, the husband is so annoying in a way that you cannot stand him. That these two people that once loved each other, they become enemies. How can we do? How can you solve those problems, guys? Communicate with your spouse. Gratitude. Use gratitude. The power of gratitude. Celebrate every step that you go through with your spouse. When I look at my children, I see a journey. I see where I've been, where I walked through the singleness, being single. I was a single woman before I had my children. And then I decided to search for the love of my life. And then I went through to search the love of my life. God connected me with that love of my life. Then we got together. I fell pregnant. We celebrated that celebration. Our children. I gave birth to our children. We celebrated that journey. And now when I look at my children, when I look at my spouse, I'm so grateful for them being part of my life, because I would not change. I wouldn't change my spouse for anybody else. When I look at my children, I see the life, the beautiful life that God has given me, and which means every single day I say life is a blessing. Life is a blessing. I cherish every moment, every second. That is power of gratitude. My spouse is not perfect, but I'm gonna love him. I'm gonna cherish him. I'm gonna do my best to smile each and every day. I'm gonna do my best to make sure that he feels at home. When he comes from work, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to give him attention. Honey, how's your day been? What would you like? Would you like to eat, or would you like to sit down? Oh, honey, I want to sit down and have a moment. I've had a really bad day. So tell me about your day. This is how simple life is, very complicated, because you know what? If Nomsa has Lamborghini, I need to have a Lamborghini. And if my wife, my friend's wife, has a job or has a business, why is my wife not having a job or a business? We start comparing our lives. We start going through pain. We hold on to the pain. Those who were not there, that becomes our identity, that my parents were not there for me. Therefore, I'm just going to hold my relationship. I'm just going to keep hurting. I'm just going to keep hurting. And self-love, you know what? I'm not beautiful. Therefore, what is there to love? When I look at myself in the mirror, I see this person that is so ugly, that is so not beautiful. I crucify myself in a way that when I look at my spouse, even if they love me, I see, I'm like, I'm questioning, does he love me? Am I enough? Am I enough for this man? Simply because I'm watching Nomsa on social media, who is walking her own walk. Nomsa has figured out the stagnation in her life. And therefore, Nomsa had to go through healing. And that's what makes Nomsa different. When I walked through my life before I go into personal development, guys, I walked a life, I lived in a big mansion, but I was miserable. I lived in a house where people would just look at my house. Sometimes the cars will stop. Say, wow, this house is so beautiful. I had a guy that will come in, like looking after my garden, making sure all about the flowers. I did not buy flowers. If I needed flowers, I go outside and pick the flowers, put them in my kitchen. But I was miserable. I blamed my ex, and I was like, this guy is so annoying. Even my happiness, I was like, I'm not happy because of him. He is not fulfilling me. Neither did I know that the hurt that I gone through when I was young, when I was an adult, the rejection, it was the one that was causing me to reject my own relationship, to see pain where there was light, to see cry where there was joy. I could not see joy. I could not see that joy, that happiness that God has given. When my relationship fell apart, I was like, God, I cried. Gary, I cried, guys, I cried. I was so in pain. I could feel my chest, I could feel my head. Everything, my life was messed up. I felt every pain. Why would God give me this man that has it all? And now I find myself, my life is messed up again. Messed up meaning I'm going to go and start again. Here's me saying, God, I'm like, I'm crying, God. I am crying, guys. That day, I cannot forget. I was crying. I was in pain. I'm saying, God, how can you do this to me? How can you give me this life and take it all? God said, Nomsa, will you shut up? And I was like, what now? The Holy Spirit is telling me to shut up. I'm in pain. And the Holy Spirit said, Nomsa, listen, listen. You spend 3 hours doing your fake hair. You spend 2 hours in the bath making sure that your makeup and your high heels, your handbag, when you step outside, you make sure that you don't step in the mud because you're protecting your wardrobe. And that soul that is inside of you, it needs to be looked after. You don't look after your soul. You don't meditate. You don't do no personal development. You don't do nothing. But when you step outside, the people see beauty. They see something that money cannot buy. How much are you worthy? And I realized that I'm priceless. That day, God said to me, Nomsa, you spend time asking me to give you a man of your dreams. I did. That's what you asked for. I did. And you've never asked me to give you the skills to help you to keep him. Therefore, you cannot cry and say, oh my God, how can you do that? Then God said, therefore, you need to shut up. That was there. I realized that I needed to learn the skills to how to maintain, how to keep a man. I needed to deal with my foundation, guys. The foundation of my life, it wasn't right. I needed to deal with my foundation. Sometimes what we see as a depression, sometimes what we see as a rejection, what we say this is a rejection, it might not be rejection, it might be we need to deal with things that we have not dealt with in our life, in our journey of life. So for me, I had to deal with some stuff, guys. I was a woman. I was raised by my grandparents. My mom and my dad divorced when I was 8 months old. They loved me. They gave me unconditional love. But my dad worked. My mom worked. Both worked full time. And my grandmother, she was older. She looked after me. I think she was in her 50s when they divorced. She took over. She didn't work. She gave us a beautiful life. Her job was to go to my parents and tell them our needs, our desires, to make sure that our desires are met and our desires were fulfilled. But then I'm walking this life. I come from a royal family. Yes, me, I didn't know that I come from a royal family. It's in my foundation. It's something that I cannot ignore. But I'm walking, living in a lie when my dad tells me things. I'm like, I'm not taking my father very serious. I ignore him. I'm like, you know what, Dad? So I'm like ignoring things. But it was there when my relationship fell apart. Guys, I'm telling you my story because you can take my story and relate to your story. My relationship falls apart now. I'm like, okay, I need to get into deep. I'm a Christian. Let me get into deep into my Christianity and just help myself. I'm helping myself and I'm helping myself. I'm praying to God. Yes, me going through this process, my relationship falls apart. But not knowing that day when my relationship was falling apart, I had already been assigned for a human blood, chosen for a human blood sacrifice, but I didn't know. I'm walking, I'm thinking my foundation is beautiful, honey. It's not. I'm walking. Some of you, you have watched my video. I'm walking. I'm thinking everything is okay. But somebody wants fame through me. And I don't know that I've got this beautiful life that God has given me that I don't know about. Here's me coming face to face with Lucifer. Now wants to put me in a condemnation of death. It's me thinking God is saying, no, you cannot kill her. You cannot take her soul. You can do anything, torture her, but you cannot take her soul. Here's me, I'm walking my foundation and I'm fighting, and Lucifer is not stopping. I'm like, God, why? You have told him to stop. But why is he not stopping? And God says, no, sir, your foundation. You see, I could have easily put my pain into somebody else. God says, no, sir, it's your foundation. I had to go and do some tests, guys. I was like, my foundation is like, look at your foundation, your family. Now I'm starting to look at my family history, realizing my grandfather on my father's side, that's where the throne is, the king. And I'm like, this is not right. Then I'm doing all the tests. Now I want to know where I come from. The countries where I grew up, where I was raised, that's not where I come from. I'm like, God, why? Why? God says, your dad always told you the truth. Because, I'm young, ignorant. Now I'm like, why is he not stopping it? The more God says no, the more he wants to fight me. Why? I'm in a relationship. I could be easily rejected my spouse, but because I'm crazy, I just want to know what's in my foundation. And I'm going mad, I'm going crazy. Lucifer wants to kill me. I'm like, no, you cannot take my blood. And I'm fighting. Then I'm realizing actually it's fighting me because I come from a royal family, and royal family, it means bloodshed, corruption. Family gets corrupted through power. So that is in my blood. I cannot ignore it. I'm miserable because where I am is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be up, but I'm living a life that is not mine. And that becomes my miserable, is affecting my relationship. That day when I decided that I am going to be me, when I decided that I am going to stop blaming others for my mistakes, for my parents' mistakes, for the foundation of my family that is messed up, I'm going to embrace it and be the woman that God created me to be. And since that day, I decided to walk my path. I looked at Satan in his eyes, and I told him that you cannot kill me. Just because of my ancestors made a mistake, just because things did not go right in my family, it does not give you the right to take my life, because my life is covered with the blood of Jesus. And he looked at me. He said, you mean what you said? You are as bonkers, and I will leave. He left. Because the words that we speak, they determine our tomorrow. How we respond to every situation. I could have easily and said to myself, I don't come from it, but I listened. I said to God, I need to investigate further. I need to take some tests. And find out where do I come from, my identity, and I did it, and I'm so proud of myself. But it's simply, I could have looked at myself down and said, what? I don't think I qualify. I don't think I qualify, but I was able to say, okay, Gary, this is how my life is. Let me find out so I can get closure. I had to find out, and now finding out and fighting those battles and clearing my foundation and really coming to accept my life, it means my spouse is going to be happy. Guys, I'm just telling you now as a story, but at the time, things were messed up. Things were a bit messy. I'm sharing it as a story now because it's a journey where I was able to pull through. It's a journey where I was able, what made me the person that I am standing today and be able to be at my talk show and be able to be with my family is the gratitude. I was so grateful of my life. Whenever Lucifer puts me on my knees, torturing me, the only thing that I kept looking at was the life that God has given me. And I will look at him in the eye and I say, you cannot kill me because I have authority over my life, my marriage, my children. So when we choose depression, it means when we choose depression to take control, it means we're giving that event a meaning to it. We're giving it to go ahead and take control. You can actually fight anything with your mind. Anything. Anything you can fight it. Anything with your mind, you can fight it. You can fight it. Rejection. You can stand, not being ego or ignorant. You can stand and say, I choose to be happy, not to be taken for granted. I choose this life of happiness, joy. My spouse, would you walk with me? Is the unknown. I don't know the unknown tomorrow. The tomorrow, I don't know what it means to get to tomorrow, but all I know is how I'm going to respond to the now. I do that, guys, in every area of my life. So if you are somebody, if you are a Christian, I'm going to leave you with this, guys. If you are a Christian and you are a Christian and your life is not going the way you want, pull your life out from the pit because Satan will put your life in the pit. And when he does that, he wants you to make sure that you are worthless. You are not worthy. He did it with me. He made me feel that I wasn't worthy, but I said no. If God is able to stand, stop you killing me, it means I am worthy. Therefore, I will not die for you, Lucifer. I will not die for you. The sins of my ancestors, I ask God to wash them away. I ask for forgiveness. My sins, I ask for forgiveness. I'm not perfect. So I was fighting with my mind. But through that process, I've learned the only thing that I can say that I have learned through that is the gratitude, the power of love, the power of gratitude, and the power of acceptance, and the power of God. Those are the things that I've learned. That when you love something, you'll do anything for it. So all I'm saying is if your relationship is not working, try to work on that relationship to be restored. Because the fact that you are in that relationship, it means you want it to work. Try to work for that relationship. Does it work? Yes, it doesn't work. And if you are a Christian, guys, please do pray and fast. And when you pray and fast, how God works, when you pray and fast, the attitude that you want from your spouse, you got to be that first before you can expect somebody else. That's how God answers miracles. When if you want a husband that is beautiful inside out, that is that he loves you, that he takes you out, that he does this and does that, all these things that you write it down, you got to make sure that you are that yourself. That's how God works. You cannot expect somebody else to be something that you are not, and you want that relationship to work. First, you work on yourself. I had to work on myself, guys, even when I was going through, uh, when I was going through the human blood sacrifice. Some people, when I'm talking, they'll be like, it doesn't exist. But unfortunately, in Europe and America, Brazil, South American things is worse. In Africa, it's worse. But mostly human blood sacrifice, it comes from Europe. For those who didn't know that. So I'm sharing with you guys. So this is the journey that I've gone through, but I've never rejected my spouse. The reason why I've never rejected my spouse is I had to deal with my messed up life. I had to deal with it. I had to deal with my messed up life. If my family were on the throne, I would have been the princess. Here is me trying to be something else, but my bloodline and Lucifer were fighting me to be this something else, to be they want me to be on the throne, but doing that, somebody else they went and promised to somebody that if you kill her, you will have this leadership naturally, you become famous, you become this. So those are the things that I had to deal with, but I dealt with. Now when I talk about them, I smile. But before, I wouldn't smile. I wouldn't be smiling. And some of it, during 2020, during lockdown, 2020, during 2015, it was 2016, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I was still on my talk show. I'll fight Lucifer and I'll still come on my talk show. I'll go through whatever I go through, but I'll still show up for me. So I'm sharing with you guys to know that sometimes life is not what we expect it to be. But we can create. I created my own life. I had to stand in Lucifer's kingdom in the third heaven and said, whatever my family were, I will not be that. If I was to go into the kingdom, I will be going to the kingdom in the second heaven. I will be serving God how God wants me to be. I will be serving him, but I will not be serving you. And I had to choose between my family's kingdom and God's kingdom. I chose God. As some people may say, Nomsa, you're crazy, but I'm not crazy. I feel so happy. I feel so alive. Every single day, I'm happy. I am so happy. So those are the things that, guys, when it comes to relationship, you create that relationship yourself. You create it yourself. For those who are Christian, please pray and fast. When you pray and fast, that life that you desire, don't go to God because you want God to bless you financially or because you want God to give you something. Just ask for his heart. And everything else, naturally, have it. I pray every single day, guys. I'm going to tell you the secret. The other day, I was praying. And for some reason, the Holy Spirit says, I'm just praying. Then I'm starting to my childhood. Now I was like, I need to pull out my childhood. If my childhood is trapped in any way, let it be restored. For some reason, I'm praying. You see, my boobies are so big, really so big. But then I'm praying, and then it's something, I can feel something, I'm disconnected to something. When I feel disconnected to something, now I feel it's like my boobs now, they are like back to normal. But I did not realize that. It's like my body is gone back to normal. I'm still working on that one, guys. So I'm sharing you with this. When I was asking my pastor, he goes, no, sir, you have to know these things. Sometimes we might have a marriage and we think the marriage exists, the marriage is on paper, but it spiritually doesn't exist. Because Satan has taken that marriage, he has put it on the pit for you to suffer in physically, not to enjoy your marriage. So you got to pull out your marriage. I pull out my marriage. I pull out my marriage in that pit. You got to pull it out. Your business. It might be, it's on paper, it's registered, but it's not doing well in the physical. It's in the pit. Because Satan has decided to torture you and he's put it in the pit. So you get frustrated. You don't become a millionaire. You don't become a billionaire. You just live an ordinary life. People forget you. Your helpers that are meant to help you, they forget you. Even in your spouse, in the relationship, they forget you. They reject you because to them you become invisible. I was like, what? So it's something that I'm learning at this moment. But I'm telling you a testimony that when I was pulling out my childhood, I was praying. And for some reason, I'm pulling out my childhood, following my pastor, what the prayer of my pastor was praying. Because to me, I'm thinking a prayer is just a prayer, but I don't realize that is designed for something. So I'm pulling out my childhood, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is my original. This is how I look like. So at the moment, I'm pulling out my my younger childhood, my beauty that was taken from me. I don't know whether it was taken. So I'm trying things out. So I'm pulling out my beauty. I'm pulling out my company. So if you guys decide you see me out of no reason and becoming this big, don't be surprised. So I'm pulling out my company. If it's been put in the pit, I'm pulling it out where it's not meant to be. I'm pulling it out. Hope Springs, a tailor-led protection agency, and also talk shows. So I'm pulling it out. I've pulled out my younger self through my mouth, and for some reason, I'm feeling like okay. Then I went and undressed, and I look at my boobies. I was like, oh my God, this is this is oh. So it's a process that I'm going through right now, guys. So you can do the same and pull out your marriage. If your marriage is not working, try to pull it out in the pit. Just say I'm pulling it out in the pit and I'm pulling out. So I'm gonna share you the journey, how things are going with pulling out. But I can tell you with my boobies, I have big boobies. But for some reason, I know my boobs. I know my body. And for some reason, I was like, why am I praying about my childhood that was robbed from me? And then my childhood, it's like something is pushing, like take it, take it. It's like this thing energy went and went, take it. and then left. And then when you take it, I feel like this feeling where he's so frustrated. At the same time, he just want to kill me, but he can't. And then he just leave. And then I'm like, I'm looking at my boobies, and then I go in front of the mirror. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going through that journey, guys. In 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, I'll tell you how I'm going. When after realizing that I had to send the prayer to my family, to my bloodline, I had to send it to some of it, like 7 or 6 people, and I had to send it to them and like, guys, you got to do this. I did the prayer. I started the prayer. I think if last week on Friday, and then I prayed, and then something happened, and then I prayed. I was praying with my pastor, but now I'm continuing doing it on my own, and I am seeing things, and I'm like, oh, okay, so my what the words in my mouth, they actually work. So I'll let you know, guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe to our channel and go to the website and register if you want coaching. And for me, I'm a Christian, guys. If you want me to coach you, I'll keep it real. My Christianity, it comes with me. So if you are somebody, but I'm not gonna put my Christianity in you. So my Christianity is for you. You come to me for coaching, and we keep it real. Whatever you want to accomplish, we keep it real. Relationship wise, we keep it real until you find that special person in your life. So we keep it real. So if you are a Christian and you're struggling, guys, words, whatever you or even if you're not a Christian, guys, you're struggling with something, anything, sickness, speak. Your desires, speak them. I was like speaking. I spent like an hour reclaiming my childhood that I was robbed. And I didn't know that I was robbed in my childhood. And for some reason, this thing comes in, it came in, and he was so angry and so furious. It was like, take it. And then I'm like, okay, what am I taking? I'm like, oh, my boobies. My boobies are big. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how they need to be. So that is life. At the moment, I'm pulling my company from the pit. So, guys, God bless you. You're watching me on social media. Please, we have a group at Unique Billionaire Mindset. Please do join the group. Gossip Talk Shows and Unique Billionaire Mindset. And God bless everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm with Carol Ann. So I don't know the topic for tomorrow. And I'm looking forward. Tomorrow I'll be sitting down because I'll have Carol Ann. And don't forget, guys, on the 25th, we have John Gray. So we're gonna have John Gray at Ngozi Talk Shows every once a month for until December, all if all goes well. So we're gonna have him once a month coming in and sharing his experience. But it's going to be in the evening around 11 p.m. UK time because we have to accommodate with him his time in New York. So we have to put the time. So it's gonna be in April, it's gonna be 11 o'clock, and some days, some month it will be 10 or 10:30. So until December. So we'll see how it goes. So God bless and live with grace. I will see you on the other side. Remember to pull your childhood, your company, your marriage out of the pit. If it works, please tell me the story. Send me a message and tell me the story. I'm still going, guys. I'm still pulling things. I'll let you know how it goes.